your kind of company.
Tonight on CTV3 News. After a 2 hours delay, the 2022-2023 crop season gets underway but with limited cane. Mediation process for new commercial agreement between BSCFA and BSI ASR fails. BSI speaks on recommendation for 2-year interim agreement and acceptance of one. And an armed robbery at gas depot in Corozal. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Tuesday, December 27th, 2022.
Ever since I was a kid, I've dreamt of going to Mars. You can keep my dream alive.
Come with me. You cannot, under any circumstances, leave my room, okay? Only for 35 days.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with Centaur, your kind of company.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Good evening with your news, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Following the signing of an interim agreement between the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association and the BSI ASR last Friday, the 2022-2023 crop season got underway today as programmed by the Sugar Industry Control Board. The first day of crop, however, did not witness any fanfare. Instead, it came with a 2-hour delay due to a shortage of cane. This time around, though, there was no blame game between the factory and the farmers, as the challenge faced today laid squarely on Mother Nature.
Without any fanfare and after 2 hours delay, the 2022-2023 crop season got underway at midday today. While the crop was scheduled to commence at 10 this morning, the first truck loaded with sweet cane drove into the factory until midday due to insufficient cane supply as a result of the bad weather that affected the country over the weekend.
What we're seeing this morning is that there's a very low supply, and yes, Progressive Sugarcane Farmers Association were the first ones to start delivery, followed by CGP, then followed by BACFA, and then the other associations. Unfortunately, the weather over the weekend had impacted for farmers to be able to prepare by way of burning and cutting. But I think what we see out here today is a very small amount of cane. I believe in the course of the day we should see more preparation happening and trucks making it to the mill. And I believe by tomorrow we should see a very good supply and to meet mill capacity or requirements.
Today, yes, we do have some cane on the queue, but not enough to start. We definitely are having a conversation with the SCPC at this time. They're collecting information of what cane is out there. We do understand that farmers had some issues over the weekend. As everybody knows, we had some constant drizzling throughout the weekend, and that made it difficult for farmers to burn cane and to harvest. So we do understand that side of things. The mill is ready. We are ready to open our gates, but we are confirming with the SCPC manager on the amount. So we need about 600 tons to really start, and assurance of continued cane supply. We're not going to start and stop. We cannot. This is a big machine, and we cannot be starting and stopping. So we have to have some assurance that there is enough on the ground to start and also enough to continue.
Are you trying to see if the other associations, any farmer is ready from them in order to be able to complete the amount needed to actually start the crop?
Yes, well, that is what the SCPC manager is looking at. They will probably open the deliveries so that any farmer can deliver later today. But we understand that farmers are just taking a little bit longer on the fields to load, and there is some already on the way. So we're expecting that we're able to start, and we are able to get the confirmations from the SCPC, who manages the harvesting.
Similar to last year, the mill will be operating at half of its capacity as the assembling and commissioning of the air emission project sees completion.
For today, given that the start time was 10 o'clock, their requirement was for 2,400 tons, and then tomorrow and the subsequent days would have been for 3,500 tons. And it is also, they had also said lately that they will run for about 12 days at 50% capacity, which initially we had understood at our second crop meeting that if we had started on the 19th, that the stop of the Christmas break and then starting back again, say for example today, that they would have started at full capacity because they would have used the first 5 days to fine-tune any issues that they would have had. But now they're saying we will run for 12 days even though we are starting today. We thought that we would have started at full capacity today, as they had indicated in our second crop meeting.
But according to Olivia Aveles, cane farmers relation manager for BSI ASR, depending on cane availability, the factory could start milling to its full capacity earlier than expected.
Yes, we will start with half the amount, the usual amount, because of the issues with cane supply, and so we are starting with that. But as we progress and we are sure about cane supply, then we can move forward and move up the milling rates.
While Mother Nature is already impacting the season, the fact that the factory will only be functioning with half of its body will also bring losses, says the chairman of the Sugar Industry Control Board, Marcos Osorio.
Every day that we are not able to deliver at full capacity, it simply means that it's cane that's being delayed in the field. But also, being honest is that we will have a pretty much of a difficult start, a little challenging because of weather conditions, which we experienced over the weekend. And also field conditions are not optimum as yet. We still have water in field. And then that is also impacted with the Sugar Road conditions. But I must also say that Sugar Road works are going pretty well at this time, and that should be solved in the coming weeks. But most importantly, it's field conditions. We had rain since June last year, and it went all the way into October. So those fields have not dried out as yet. So we will have the 50% capacity in some way. I would say maybe in the first 3-4 days would not bring much of an impact, but thereafter it will, because once this weather continues settling in, farmer preparedness will keep increasing, and then unfortunately they will be able to deliver one trip every 2 days.
We start off delivery with standover cane?
Well, I believe not, because the standover fields that we have, most of them are in difficult terrains. So I think we are starting with a mix, and it will be mostly ratoons and plant canes with some standover. But as the weather settles in, the dry settles in, we will see more of the standovers starting to come in as the crop progresses.
And recognizing that the sugar industry is the main socioeconomic livelihood of northern Belize, is a strong foreign exchange earner, and contributes to 15% of direct and indirect employment, everyone hoped for a great crop as the trucks slowly rolled into the factory's compound. Carmelita Perez, CTV3 News.
At exactly midday today, the 2022-2023 crop season got underway here in Orange Walk after a one-year interim agreement was signed between the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association and the BSI-ASR under the same clauses as last year. The temporary agreement was signed after the mediation process failed, thus not providing a long-term agreement between both entities. The recommendation for an interim agreement came from BSI-ASR. They were recommending a 2-year contract. However, the membership of the BSCFA opted for a 1-year agreement. That decision was accepted by BSI-ASR since there was much at stake.
For us, the priority became getting a crop started, whether it be through a 1-year or 2-year agreement. For us, the priority was really to get to this point where we're starting the crop, we're receiving the cane, and we can get things going. Our rationale for a 2-year was simply to provide more time and space for us and the BSCFA to see if we can reach a long-term agreement. If the BSCFA is confident that that can be done within the year, we certainly look forward to that. At the end of the day, that remains our objective, to reach a long-term, mutually beneficial agreement. And if we can do that within 1 year, then we look forward to doing so. Well, we can't get into the details of the mediation itself, but certainly we weren't able to achieve a long-term agreement through the mediation. But I think it did provide an opportunity for both sides to ventilate a lot of issues and try to see if we can get closer to an agreement. And I think progress was made in that respect, where we were able to narrow down the outstanding matters to a few items. And so we'll see if this upcoming year, we can continue to engage with the BSCFA and see if we can reach a long-term solution. From our standpoint, we did put forward some solutions to address the matter of transparency, the concerns that BSCFA had in that respect. And from our standpoint, we do feel that we have some very credible proposal that is in front of them. But I think certainly from the discussions, it has morphed into something that is bigger than just transparency and the numbers. It's dollars and cents. And I think at the end of the day, the core issue seems to be that the BSCFA want to be paid more for sugarcane. And I think that's where, from our standpoint, that we would have difficulty with. And we've explained that. We've explained that both to the media and the BSCFA, that we are certainly happy to look at a simplified formula that makes it very easy for the association determine the price of cane, But what we can't countenance is this massive transfer in value. And so I think if it's focused more on the transparency and the cost and trying to see how we can get the BSCFA comfortable with that, then I think a long-term solution can be achieved. But if it's to get more from the mill, I think that's where the difficulty lies.
In order for both entities to end the long-standing dispute, GOB is already talking about bringing in the experts. BSI says once the entire industry is being looked, then it is a good move.
From our standpoint, we see that, look, the parties have to continue to engage in a meaningful discussion to see if we can reach a long-term agreement. If it is that we need to bring experts to help, all stakeholders understand really the purpose and function of the sugarcane industry, what is, in a sense, an optimal and efficient way of conducting business, those are things we would certainly be willing to engage on. I think one of the things we have highlighted is that there is a big scope for improving productivity and efficiency in the field sector. I can't just be looking at the mill and what more revenue can be derived, but also how we can look at the field sector to improve productivity to then reduce production costs. So whatever is done, we hope that it's done in a very holistic manner so that we're not just focusing on one side, but the structure and the wider industry, including regulation of the industry.
With the intervention of GOB, the BSCFA accepted to start the crop under the temporary contract. During the one calendar year, changes in the Sugar Act and other legislations to improve the industry are expected to be tabled at the House of Representatives. For its part, BSI-ASR agrees with amending the Sugar Act, but in a modernized manner.
We see it more from the perspective that it needs to be modernized because the industry is made up of private enterprises and private individuals. So the two sugar mills in Belize are private. Cane farmers are private business owners themselves, right? They grow sugarcane because they believe that they can make it as a business for themselves. And so every country has its own legislations. You have some that are very regulated. You have some that are not regulated. And all that depends on the structure of the industry. Who are the players, how many players you have, and whether the mills are state-owned or privately owned. So there is not a one-size-fits-all for every sugarcane industry in the country, or in the world, sorry. Because each one is unique, each one has its own set of circumstances. From our standpoint, how we see it is that there is a lot of scope for the Sugar Act to be modernized. There are too many inefficiencies in the legislation, too many regulation that really just strangles the ability to operate and do business in an efficient manner. What we did last year or earlier this year is that we started a process of challenging certain parts of the Sugar Act, the constitutionality of it. And one of them was actually this matter of the start and stop of the crop. There is legislation currently in place that the mill can't on its own, nor farmers decide when to start the crop. It has to be something that is gazetted. So even though we had meetings with all associations and everyone was in agreement that it's important for us to start the crop, the start date was still held up. And so we see that as something that's an issue for the industry, where you have private players who can't undertake business until the Sugar Industry Control Board gazettes the date. And so that is something we actually challenged earlier in the year, and that's currently before the courts.
Coming up next, armed robbers walk away with an undisclosed amount of cash after targeting gas depots in Corozal. Stay tuned.
away over $20,000 in prizes this Christmas. One lucky customer will win $6,500 in fuel, plus over 40 customers will win either $150 in fuel vouchers or $500 in cash. To enter, spend $40 billion or more in fuel. Complete the entry form and drop it in the boxes provided. Fuel up with Shell this Christmas for your chance to win. Promotion runs from November 21 to December 31, 2022. Terms and conditions apply. Visit solpetroleum.com/winbig with Shell for more details. Shell trademarks are used by Sol Brands Incorporated under license from Shell Brands International AG.
While it did not make it in the police strip, CTV3 News understands that there was an armed robbery at the gas depot located at the Libertad Junction on the Philip Coulson Highway. Reports tell us the crime was committed in the wee hours of yesterday when two men arrived at the establishment and held the security at gunpoint. The individual was attacked before the men made good their escape with an undisclosed amount of cash. Here in Orange Walk, officers conducted searches in an abandoned lot on City River Street this afternoon at around 4, where they discovered 126.8 grams of suspected crack cocaine. No one was in the immediate area at the time, and as a result, the suspected drug was sealed, labeled, and deposited as found property. As mentioned at the top of the newscast, the 2022-2023 crop season got underway at midday today after facing a 2-hour delay due to a shortage of cane. While the Progressive Sugar Cane Producers Association were expected to the first on the queue to deliver cane to the mill, the bad weather conditions that impacted the country over the weekend hindered the process. With the delivery of members of other associations, the mill was able to obtain enough cane to start grinding, and with that, the crop officially got underway. This year, the Sugar Industry Control Board is estimating a production of 1.34 million tons of cane, while under its first cane price estimate, BSI ASR is calculating 1,150,000 tons of cane to yield 123,000 tons of sugar. But what will determine the status of the crop at the end of the season will be the TCTS.
Given the circumstances, I believe we have water damage in field in cane production. We have pest damage, and also those two and the amounts of standover canes. We are concerned in terms of the cane quality. So I'm a bit concerned also because the mill issued a first price estimate indicating that starting with a TCTS of 9.39, and I recall last crop we started with better conditions that we have today. And the TCTS back then was at 10. So we had questioned why 9.39, because of the conditions we have today, which are far different from last year, and we definitely foresee that there will be a big challenge in terms of TCTS cane quality. So I'm of maybe at least 1.2 million tons of cane.
But is there a guarantee or any program that was carried out to verify that there indeed is the 1.3 million and odd tons as estimated by the Sugar Industry Control Board?
Yes, Kami. After the crop finished, we received the reports from farmers of their standover canes, their plant canes, and then we deployed the Sugarcane Production Committee field team to go out and do the ground verifications. The production is there.
Those numbers are updated monthly. Okay. So the cane price estimates are a monthly review. So those, as farmers know, we issue that at the end of the month or first week of every month. So if that is the case, then we'll be updating those numbers. Those numbers are not written in stone, and we've already in the past.
For the miller, ensuring that the crop operates under its normal cycle is extremely important.
maturity is. It's very important to bring back the cycle of the biological nature of how sugarcane is harvested back from December to around May, June. Everything we expect, of course, challenges throughout the year, weather challenges, so we do have that to contend with. A normal crop cycle is 26 to 27 weeks, but it also depends on the weather conditions that we get throughout, and if we have to stop, or the perfect situation would be that we have dry conditions and that we're able to mill our target every day. But we know
35-year-old Gilberto Ruiz, who was one of 4 people charged earlier this month for being a member of a gang, has been granted bail in the Supreme Court. Justice Ricardo O'Neill Sancroft granted Ruiz bail in the sum of $20,000, which was split into 4 sureties of $5,000 each. As part of his bail conditions, Ruiz also has to sign in at a designated police station every day of the week and must also abide by a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew. Ruiz has been remanded to the Belize Central Prison on December 13th, along with his brother, 30-year-old Angel Antonio Ruiz, along with 20-year-old Abel Novel Martinez, and accused of being members of the Mara Salvatrucha MS-13 gang. The Belize Police Department has said that it was monitoring gang activity closely in Belize, as regional crackdowns on gang activity have caused gang members to flee their respective jurisdictions in an attempt to find a safe haven. In March, the government of El Salvador instituted such a crackdown and have reportedly arrested 60,452 accused gang affiliates to date. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, December 28th, here on CTV3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read the text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at CTV3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.